All right, so now it's time to connect the power, connect our battery to the circuit, and make sure everything works. So first, let me go ahead and run my digital multimeter here. So I'm using the MyDAC again to measure voltages. And let's just check the battery voltage here. Okay, it looks like the battery's at 7.8 volts. Now notice that the way I placed the leads, it read minus 7.8 volts. But we know that the way you measure voltage, that's okay. You know, when I snap this connector on then, we should have the correct orientation. Okay, so I've connected the battery. Let's go ahead and measure what the voltage is now across the input and the minus terminal, or the ground or reference of our regulator. So we get, again, the battery voltage pretty much, 7.6 volts. Very good. And, oops, accidentally unplugged it. So that's good. We got the right input. Now let's see what our regulator is outputting. So I'll go ahead and hit the middle terminal. 3.3 volts DC. Perfect. So this regulator is doing exactly its job. It's taking in that high voltage and regulating it to 3.3 volts. Good. Okay, so before we move on, I want to show you one last trick regarding breadboarding. So I have my digital multimeter here. So my MyDAC is connected to my computer, and it's set to measure voltage. And you know, when we were measuring voltages before, I was able to just attach my probes to exposed wires. Now, what if I actually wanted to measure voltage at a certain point on the breadboard between, say, two holes? You know, I'm kind of interested in what these rails are at, but I can't actually put my probes into those. So I'm going to show you a little trick, and it involves alligator clips. So see, you can get these alligator clips where on one end of this alligator clip, I'll go ahead and just clip onto the probe. So now I have an electrical connection all the way to what I put on the other end, and I hope you can see it. I put a stripped piece of breadboard wire, okay? And now this I can put into the breadboard, okay? So I'll do the same thing with this negative probe. This is a little trick that lets you convert your probe and make it easier to attach and measure points on the breadboard, okay? So I got my black wire as well. So I'll go ahead and move all that aside. And in later modules, you'll see us doing this trick. You'll see us putting these wires on the ends of alligator clips to measure voltages on the circuit. Keep in mind that that's what they're clipped to. They're clipped here in the background to those probes. So if you look at our circuit, we should have a connection via the orange wires to the output of the voltage regulator all the way to those red rails. So I'd like to measure the voltage at that red rail. I'd like to measure it relative to the voltage at the black rail. Looks like we got 3.4 volts DC, close enough to 3.3. Now I'll go ahead and measure this rail as relative to that rail, 3.5 volts. So it looks like we're very close to the voltage we want at those rails. So now our circuit is designed so we have 3.3 volts going all the way along these red rails. And we have the input to our voltage regulator coming from this red wire from the battery going into this row here that's hitting the input pin of the voltage regulator. So now we're ready to take our MSP430 and connect it to this circuit.